In the house of the interpreter of Burg, the letters found upon the table, one-eyed, red-haired, hoary, completely holds, changing for the new constable. A voice heard from the top of Mount Aventine, "Flee, flee, all of you on both sides." Anger appeased by the blood of the Red Ones. From Rimini and Prato, the columns driven away. Ravenna's mighty cow in great trouble. 15 led and held at Fortnaise. 2 double-headed monsters born at Rome. Blood, fire, flood, the greater ones to the space. The following year, discoveries through flood. 2 chiefs elected. The first one does not hold. Fleeing a shadow, one of them seeks refuge. The house plundered which the first maintains. The third toe of the foot, like the first. A new monarch from low estate, as tyrant occupying of Pisa and Lucca, correcting the faults of his predecessor. Numerous Englishmen in the Guyenne, occupying it by the name Anglo-Aquitaine, in Languedoc, Hispalme, Bordelais, which thereafter shall name Barboxitaine. He who finds and opens the tomb, and not come to quickly close, evil befalls him, and not be able to prove. Better to be a Breton or Norman king. A younger son of a king puts his father to death after very dishonorable mortal conflict. A letter found as a remorseful reminder. Then that the wolf hunts repose. The burning lamp of inextinguishable fire is found in the temple of the Vestals. Infant found fire. Water passing through a sieve. Nîmes perishing under water. Market halls collapsing at Toulouse. The child of a monk and nun exposed to death, to be killed by a she-bear and carried away by a boar. The army camped at Foix and Pamiers. Against Toulouse, Carcassonne, Harbinger pitches tent. The innocent wrongly put to death, publicly taken out of their midst. A great plague breaking out in 2 places, that judges forced to flee. The sculptor looking for new clay. In the lake, the icons found. So much silver of Diana and Mercury. He and his followers steeped in gold. The exiles about Sologne lead on foot by night into Auxerrois. 2 of Modena for Bologna fierce, discovered by the fire of Buransoir. Put on the flat surface of a dyer's cauldron, with wine, honey, and oil, and built upon furnaces, therein immersed, without evil, called malefactors. 7 smoking expire in the chimney of Borno. Near Parpon, the red ones detained, those of the middle broken up and carried away, 3 cut in pieces, and 5 ill-sustained, for the lord and prelate of Bourgoin. An assembly out of Castelfranco, causing schism, the ambassador does not agree. Those of Gulf of Gênes entering the conflict, denying entry into the Great Gulf. The third one first, worse than Nero ever did. Begone, valor. How much human blood to pour. The furnace is rebuilt, a shameful king, the golden age ruined. Dauphin Lily carried into Nancy, the elector of the empire as far as Flanders. New confinement for the great Montmorency. Outside proven places delivered to clear punishment. Deep in the forest of Mayenne, sun in Leo, lightning strikes. The mighty bastard begotten by the great one of Maine. This day a bloody point enters Fougères. Through the forest of Rienne by night, 2 parts Voltort, Herne, the white stone. Within Varennes, the black monk in grey, elected cap, causes tempest, fire, bloody slicing. At the high church at Blois of Saint-Solène, the prelate swiftly kills the king. Victory announced in the marsh of the Lone, whence prelature of whites miscarry. King and court in the debating place inside the church opposite the palace. In the garden, the Dukes of Montor and Albe and Montor, dagger-tongued debate. Youngest son playing outdoors under the arbor. The rooftop falls upon his head. The king, his father, in the church of Saint-Sologne, sacrificing and consecrating festival smoke. From the windows of the rock-built palace, 2 little royals kidnapped. Passing Orléans, Paris, the Abbey of Saint-Denis, with none, wicked ones to swallow green stones of fruit. Passing the bridges, coming close to the reed beds, he arrives sooner than he thought. Coming to Béziers, the latest Spanish force, whose enterprise is broken by the chase. Departed by the harsh letters under reputation of Nice, the great Cap presents a gift not his own. Near Voltry, at the walls of Cappers green, after Plombin, the wind shows favorable. The fence of wood, the wind closer on the bridge, he that's received highly strikes the Dauphin. With company the old craftsman passes through the woods, passing far beyond the jurisdiction of the Duke. Port of Marseille, the Allied fleet, in Venice harbor to march to the Pannons, to depart from the Gulf and Bay of Illyria. Destruction in Sicily, cannon shots in Italy. He that gives place to no one abandons the place taken yet not taken. Fire ships in swamps, pitch fire at Chalieu, Saint-Quentin and Calais retaken. At the ports of Pula and Saint-Nicolas, a Norman perishes in the Planatic Gulf. The chief of Byzantium crying, "Alas!" in the streets. Help from Cadiz and the great Philip. Trembling of the earth at Mortara, Cassis, St. George half swallowed up. War awakens the sleeping peace. In the church at Easter, great schisms. A deep column of fine porphyry is found. Under the base are inscriptions of the Capitol. Bones, twisted hair, Roman force proved. A fleet is stirring at the port of Mytilene. Hercules, king of Rome and of Anamark, surnamed de Gaulle, thrice chief. Italy trembling, and the one of St. Mark, renowned first monarch over all. The single part mitred, return conflict passing over Tuileries, one traitor named by 500, Narbonne and Salces, oil for blades. Ferdinand the Fair disagrees, quits the flower to follow the Macedonian. In great need his course fails, marches against the Myrmidons. A great king taken into the hands of a young one, not far from Easter, confusion, stroke of a knife, permanently captive, lightning strikes the mast. 3 brothers wound each other and murder. Bridge and mills overturned in December. The Garonne rising so high in places. Walls, buildings, Toulouse overturned. That none know his place before the midwife. The entry at Blaye by Rochelle and the English pass beyond the great Émetien. Not far from Agen awaits the French, Narbonne help, deceived by discussion. In Arbicel, to Veronten Carcari, led by night to entrap Savona. The quick Gascon, Turbie and La Série, behind the old wall and new palace to seize. Near Quintin in the Bourlis forest, in the Abbey, the Flemings cut off. Two younger sons stunned by blows, followers oppressed, guards all hacked. The great Chirène seizes Avignon, bitter sweet letters from Rome. Embassy letter leaves from Chanignon, Carpentras taken by a black duke with a red plume. From Barcelona, from Genoa and Venice, from Sicily, pestilence spreading to Monaco. Against the barbarian, the fleet takes aim. The barbarian driven back as far as Tunis. The Crusader army about to land, watched by Ishmaelites, struck on all sides by the ship Ravière. 10 elite galleys quickly attack. Flee, flee out of Geneva, everyone, Saturn of gold changing into iron. Repose exterminates all opposition. The heaven shows signs before it happens. His needs never satisfied, great Mendozus obtains his empire. Far from the court countermands, Piedmont, Picardy, Paris, Tuscany the worst. Begone, flee from Toulouse, the Red Ones, to make expiation for the sacrifice, the evil cause under the shade of gourds, death strangled, a predicted ominous judgment. The undersigned to a scandalous liberation have from the people contrary advice. Change of monarch, a dangerous thought. Locked up in a cage, each other face. The great city of the maritime ocean surrounded by icy marshes, in winter solstice and spring, tried by terrible gales. Gand and Bruxelles marching against Antwerp. The Senate of London puts their king to death. The salt and wine overthrow him, that they have the kingdom in disarray. Mendozus comes to his high realm, putting aside a little for Norlans, the pale red one, the male at the interregnum, the young, fearful, and barbaric terror. Sects unite against the Reds. Peace, weakening fire, water, steel, rope. On the point of dying, those who plot, except one, who above all undoes the world. Peace approaches on one side and war the other. Never a pursuit so great. Man and woman lamenting, innocent blood shed. This throughout all France. The young Nero in the three chimneys, 3 pages thrown and burnt alive. Happy is he that is removed from these doings. 3 of his own blood death threatens. Arriving at the port of Corsini near Ravenna, won the lady to plunder, in the deep sea Lisbon's envoy. Hidden under a rock, 70 souls carried away. Preparation for a horrible war in the West. The year after the pestilence comes. That young old beast, so terribly strange. Blood, fire, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter in France. Oudin's army passing near Gouzanville, leaving its ensign at Mayotte, and converting in an instance more than 1,000, seeking the 2 to chain to pillar and post. A king rests in the place of Dreux, looking for a law-changing anathema. Meanwhile, the heaven thunders so very loudly. At the new gate, the king kills himself. On the left side at the point of Vitry, the 3 red ones of France are awaited. All the red felled, black not murdered, by the Breton restored to safety. Nicole, reputed red, whom life had produced, seized at the Ferté-Vidame. The great Louise, born to make proclamation, giving Burgundy to the Breton through envy. Warring Muslims in the black headdress, bloodshed, Dalmatia trembles. Great Ishmael sets up his promontory, frogs to tremble. Lusitania brings aid. Pillaging the seacoast, Incita Nova and friends brought forward. Many of Malta through Messina decree, being closely kept, are ill rewarded. To the great place of Karaman, ranks of crosses attached, the long-lasting opium and root of mandrake. Rogan released on the 3rd of October. Complaints and tears, cries and great howls, near Narbonne to Bayonne and in Foix. Oh, what horrid calamities and changes, before Mars has made several revolutions. The Macedonian passing the Pyrenean mountains. In March, Narbonne makes no resistance. By sea and land he manages much. No safe land for the chief to live in. He comes into the corner of Luna, taken and put in a strange land. The unripe fruits are a great scandal. Great blame on one, to the other great praise. There is peace, union, and change. Estates, offices, low, high, and high, very low. A journey prepared for, the first fruit, pains, wars cease, civil processes, discussion. On the top of the mountains about l'Isère, gate at the rock, Valence, 100 assembled, from Châteauneuf, Pierre-Latte, in Donzère, against the crest, Romans' faith assembled. A noble obscure from Montélimar, evil shall come at the junction of the Saône and Rhône. On Lucia's day, soldiers in the woods hidden. There was never such a horrible throne. Upon the mountain of Bailly and the Brel are Grenoble's proud ones hidden. Beyond Lyon and Vienne, such great hail, locusts on the land, not a third part left. Sharp weapons hidden in burning torches. In Lyon on the day of the sacrament, those of Vienne all cut to pieces by the Latin canton. An example builds. In the sacred places, woolen animals seen, with him who dares not in the day. At Carcassonne for a suitable disgrace, a longer stay set him. The Holy Church is again polluted and ransacked by the Senate of Toulouse. 2-3 cycles Saturn turns. In April, May, people of a new religion. A king with a blue turban enters into Foire, reigning less than a revolution of Saturn. The white turban king, Byzantium heart banish. Sun, Mars, and Mercury near Aquarius. Homicide in the city of Versod. To do and redo, numerous ploughing oxen not to sacrifice. Returning again to the honors of Artemide and Vulcan to bury dead corpses. From Ambracia and from the country of Thrace, people by sea, evil, and French succors, a trace perpetual in Provence, with vestiges of their laws and customs. With the black and bloody rapax, born from the bed of inhuman Nero. Between two rivers, the military on the left hand, murdered by young Cholveron. The kingdom taken, the king invites the lady taken, condemned to death by lot. The life of the queen's son denied. and the mysteries, the fate of the consort. The Grecian lady of exquisite beauty, made happy by innumerable suitors, transferred out into the Spanish kingdom, made prisoner, dying a miserable death. The commander of the fleet, by strategy and fraud, coaxes the timid out of their galleys. Coming out, Christ-renouncing chief murders. Then, by ambush, they render him his wages. The Duke, wanting to exterminate his own, sends the strongest away into remote places. Through Tyranny, Pisa and Lucca ruined, then the barbarians make vintage without wine. The crafty king intends by ambushes to assail the enemy on 3 sides. A strange number. Tears from hoods. The enterprise of the translator fails. By flood and virulent epidemic, the great city is long besieged. The sentry and guard killed by hand, taken suddenly, but none offended. The sun in the 20th of Taurus, great earthquake. Of the great theater, filled to ruin, the air, sky, and land dark and troubled. Infidels calling upon God and saints. The king revealed ends the ritual slaughter after discovering his origin. A torrent opens the sepulchre made of marble and lead of a great Roman with Medusan device. Passing Guyenne, Languedoc, and the Rhône, from Agen, holding Marmande and l'Aréole, to open the wall by faith. Phocéen keeps his throne. A conflict after Saint Paul of Marseille. From Bourg-la-Reine, reaching straight to Chartres, pausing near Point Antony, 7 for peace, as crafty as ferrets, with army, enter Paris besieged. By the Torfou forest cleared, by the Hermitage the church is placed. The Duke of Estampes, by inventive skill, of the prelate of Monterrey example gives. Calais, Arras, aids Terouanne. Peace and the like the spy pretend. Soldiers of Savoy descend through Rouen, diverted by people. The route undo. Philip has 7 years of prosperous fortune, beating down the barbarian efforts. Then in his noon, a perplexing contrary affair. Young Oignon, destroying his power. A captain of the greater Germany, his advance by help pretend, unto the King of Kings, aid of Pannonia, his revolt of great bloodshed. The horrid pestilence seizes Perinthus and Nicopolis, sweeping the peninsula and Macedonia, devastating Thessaly and Amphipolis. An unknown evil, Antony's refusal. The king desirous to enter the new city. With foes they subdue, captives liberated, speaking and acting falsely. The king outside from his enemies afar. The enemies a good way from the fort, conveyed by wagons to the bastion. Bourge walls reduced to rubble from above, when Hercules strikes the Macedonian. Feeble galleys ally together, as false enemies strengthened for protection. Assailed and weakened, Bratislava trembles, Lübeck and Meissen taking the barbarian side. The newly made leads the army, almost cut off to near the riverbank. Help extended from the Milanoise elite. The Duke deprived of his eyes, and an iron cage at Milan. Entry to the city denied to the army. The Duke enters by persuasion. The army led secretly to the weak gates, putting to fire and sword effusion of blood. The fleet divided into 3 parts. Of the second, supplies are lacking. In despair, seek the Elysian fields. First entering the breach has victory. Those afflicted, stained by the fault of a single one, acting against the opposite party. Word sent by those of Lyon to force them to surrender the great chief of Malta. The siege raised by the north wind, blowing ashes, lime, and dust over the walls. Much harm afterwards by rain, their last aid towards the frontier. Night subdues the naval battle, fire ruining the ships of the west. New signal, the great ship colored, anger to the vanquished, and victory in the drizzle.